What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Comics Grind. I'm one of your hosts, Nico Rodriguez,
And I'm Ken, aka Call Me Ken on YouTube.
and welcome yet again to another week. Excited to talk to you guys again this week. Ken, how's it going, man? How's your week in comics? What's going down? Have you blown up? Are you a comics all star yet?
We both know I'm not. So but yeah, it's just been like every other week, just getting started on like I'm still going on those colors. I'm starting to get faster, I think. And then I also have I'm trying to do strips on the side, but it's so difficult. Like it's not as easy as I thought it would be. But today I spent pretty much the whole day trying to get my like Air Rider website set up. I'm trying to put it on its own website outside of social media or outside of other webcomic hosting websites, and trying to drive traffic to that website. So I'm almost done with the full process, and whatever I get stuck on, I can call a friend for. So um
Hmm.
yeah, I'm almost done with that. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing this week.
Nice, nice. Are you still on like your work break or whatever? Because I remember a couple weeks ago you were saying you're kind of
Yeah,
on a break.
yeah. That stops tomorrow, but it's kind of on and off for the next couple of weeks or so. So I'm going back to work tomorrow, and that'll be like that for the next 3 days or so, and then come back to just like working on comics alone.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yep.
that's you gotta take advantage of that kind of free time you got.
Yep. Full advantage, man.
Um, yeah, for sure, man. My week's kind of been interesting. It's been an interesting
Interesting.
week. Um, Last weekend, I know this is kind of coming out a little later than I guess the sequence of real events, but um, I did Comic Palooza last weekend. It was a fantastic show over here in Houston, 3 day show. So I'm kind of this week now. I'm kind of regrouping and everything. But really, it's been kind of like a weird rework week.
Mm-hmm.
So the night before the show, my car got broken into,
Right.
which freaking was awful. Not that the car window and everything is cool. Whatever, break it, I'll pay for it to get it fixed. But
Right.
the whoever broke into it grabbed my backpack that was in the back that had three portfolios of original art. So
Right.
um, yeah, he probably thought whoever they were probably thought it was like a whole bunch of cash or something in there, but they opened it up
Right.
just to find like a whole bunch of art.
Yeah. I mean, they probably got a good distance away before they open it up. Because if I opened it up
Yeah.
right there, I would have just like put that stuff back. I was just like, all right,
I
it's
mean,
just it's
I
just art.
wish
It's
that
just
was
some
the
drawings.
case. I wish that was the case. Like, honestly, like if I were there, I would have been like, "Here, dude, just take my wallet. Like, here, you can take my cash. I'll buy you,
Right.
a couple $100 of food. Leave the bag, and we're cool, man. Later, like I won't even report you." But, um, yeah, they grabbed the bag and kind of been trying to get over that for the last few days. I'm finally kind of getting back to normal because I kind of need to because
Right.
I've got Heroes Con in like just over 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I said, this week has been like a rework week. Luckily, I had most versions scanned or in some kind of way of my pages.
Nice.
But it's going to be a lot of rework in terms of like I do a lot of painting, so I'm going to have to do a lot of painting rework, and that's what I've been doing this week.
Right.
Just to try to get some work ready for Heroes. Um, so it kind of sucks because this week has been like I'm not moving forward on my project. I'm taking like 10 steps back.
Right.
Um, but at the end of the day, I want to be able to show like what I'm doing at Heroes, like my process and everything. So I'm kind of just busting ass to try to get that stuff to show, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's another one
but
of those like unforeseen things that comes along in the comics process, that it's not just it makes it like that it's not just a straightforward, oh, I make drawing, like I draw pages, I post them up online, I make money. Like it's not just a straightforward thing. Like curveballs like this come out of nowhere all the time.
yeah, yeah, and you know, at the moment, at the moment, whenever you see that thing happen to you, or that that thing happens to you, and you're in the moment, man, it's like absolutely devastating, because you're
Right.
like, dude, that was like 6 months to a year worth of work, you know.
Hmm.
But as you kind of let it settle in, the heartbreak goes away, you kind of start realizing, wait, I still have my hands, right? I still have my mind,
Right.
I can still make some shit. Um, so that's just kind of the approach that I've been trying to have. And it's taken me a little bit to get there, but
Right.
um, you know,
But that's the best way to
gotta,
look at it. Like, still got your hands. Most people are just like, oh, I lost my stuff. But I mean,
yeah.
like, this is the money makers right here. It's right here.
I mean, yeah, that's right. So gotta gotta keep grinding, baby. Gotta keep
Yeah.
grinding.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Just quit? Just stop?
I mean, yeah, you can't. Like that night, yeah, I quit. That night, I was like, fuck it,
Right.
um, but as you kind of you realize what's up, you kind of. The only other thing is, like, I had a whole bunch of like sketches and stuff that I lost,
Right.
like sketches that I was going to like sell at the show and stuff, but that hurts too because that was a whole bunch of work.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, the sketches aren't as important as like the original artwork.
Hmm.
It just sucks, if my book gets wildly successful. I'm not going to have like original art for page one anymore, which
Right.
sucks.
Yeah.
Um, but you got to keep going, man. You got to keep going.
Yeah. Hopefully the
Um,
police will find it.
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
That's, I mean, Houston is like what, like the fourth most populous city in the world, or in the country.
Yeah.
So, so it's a long shot, man. But I can hope. We'll see.
Right.
Um, what about you reading anything good? Have you read any good comics? Watched any good shows?
Yeah. I've been watching Vinland Saga and keeping up with that. That is probably one of the best anime coming out this um this season. And it's not even I almost don't even consider it an anime fully, because it's more like a historical drama, and the characters, they're just so believable and real that I'm just like, this doesn't really follow anime tropes 100%. It's like its own thing. And the story is just really engrossing. Everyone who dropped it because there wasn't any like fights or battles or anything, they're missing out, because it's a different kind of experience now. The only other thing I'm reading is uh, that Miyazaki book, Starting Point. Um, I've been reading one page a night every night, like before I go to sleep, because I can't really set aside time to read like 10 pages every day. So I'm just like, you know what? Instead of trying to muscle through it and try to get finish the book, I'll just do it little by little. And then instead of just quitting altogether, I can actually stack up pages until I finish. So yeah, it's just really been solid so far.
Yeah, yeah. I've been still kind of keeping up with that book too. I need to. These, like I said, this last week's kind of been hectic, so I haven't
Right.
been reading the Hayao Miyazaki book as much as I'd like to, but um, yeah, it's good stuff.
Right.
Um, yeah, I've been reading. I can't remember if I spoke about Jason the cartoonist in the last episode or not. But
Jason.
yeah, his name is just Jason, Norwegian cartoonist.
Uh-huh.
Um, So I recently just got a hold of a whole bunch of his books.
Hmm.
He does a lot of just like one shot books, a lot of like anthologies, but he's like just such a unique cartoonist. He's very simple, very, very minimal. Um, but his
Oh yeah, I see
stories
what
are
you're talking about.
just, yeah, his stories are really, really engaging, and like they just blend so much together. Like, very like surreal slice of life-ish, some comedy, but also just like very like artsy and artistic.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to describe him in a nutshell, but when you read him, you can kind of understand him. Um, so I've been really into that lately.
Nice.
He just has he has just like some wordless comics that are just all silent.
Right.
It's just all told through pictures.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of like meditation on life, a lot of like you know depressing ish stuff, but
Right.
meaningful. Um, at least that's what I've gotten so far. I'm still
Yeah.
reading like the first couple books, but it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really, really into that right now. Um,
I I mean, just on cursory look, like I find stuff like his where I find it really interesting that the appeal of his stuff isn't plain to see. It's like you have to read it and understand it to actually like get it and be able to draw something from it, because if you look at an anime drawing, it's like, okay, we know the appeal of it is like this cute girl or whatever, or this like strong like battle guy with a sword or something. Like the appeal is obvious, but then looking at Jason's stuff, it's like you got to read it to really like
mm.
get something from it.
Yeah, because like when you look at his drawings, it's almost like every single face is like the same kind of like mundane look.
Yeah.
But like the situation in which he puts his characters in, you understand like the emotion of it. It's weird. There's like this weird kind of there's like this silent I can't even explain it. Like you just have to read it like this silent aura about his panels that when you just read it, you just like feel what that character is feeling, even though like it's the same kind of just like straight lined face, you
Right.
know? It's odd, but there's this like this ominous presence. That's what it is. There's like this
Yeah.
ominous presence throughout every like strip.
Like
Um
something fucked up could happen, but
exactly,
does it, or
exactly. Like this darkly comedic thing around it. It's also, they're all anthropomorphic, so they're all animals. So like,
right.
so I'm kind of drawing a little bit of that inspiration too with my book because, mine's all animals and stuff too.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, he's awesome, man. I'm glad I came across his stuff. But yeah,
Right.
I just bought up like 7 or 8 of his books, so
Nice.
I'm gonna be stacked up for a little while. Um, yeah, man. But in terms of watching anything, um,
Yeah.
I've been watching Unicorn Warriors Eternal,
Oh
the new
yeah.
Gendy Tartakovsky show.
Yeah.
I'm a few episodes behind, but really good. I mean, it's Gendy. Like anything the
Right.
dude touches for me is gold. It's not. It's very different than Primal.
Hmm.
Primal is kind of this silent, violent adventure.
Right.
Whereas this one is a lot more kind of, um, a lot more dialogue and more typical kind of fantasy.
Hmm.
But you know, artistically, it's such an incredible feat. Just because everything that the guy does, animation wise, composition wise, like it's just sick. So
Right. Yeah, I got to
really,
see more of that
really,
show.
mm, yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. Um, but yeah, man. Guess we can go ahead and move on to the main topic of the day.
Yep.
Um, so I guess I mean, as far as you know, obviously up top I kind of spoke about it a little bit, but just discouragement
Yeah.
in comics, in creativity. Um, you know, and what are maybe some actions to do to kind of combat that? Um, are you how do you feel about that? Because I know, you know, this thing is it's a lonely passion. It's a lonely work.
Yep.
Sometimes we don't know if we're getting the feedback that we deserve or that we would like to have at all. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, in terms of discouragement, is like I'm looking at my follower count on Twitter. And I'm just like, wow, it's been 6 months and it's still like the same. It's so weird because I post every day, like every single day since like January. I've been posting it for 6 months, and my follower count hasn't grown up much more than maybe it's grown up to 100. It used to be like maybe 260 or so, and that was at the beginning of January. But I don't know. It's just like, man, I thought I would have like 1,000 followers by now or something like that. But it's gotten me to the point where I'm starting to question like, is it is it really valid to have a lot of followers on social media? Like, is that really necessary towards making a good living in comics? Because I'm making a decent amount just from like coloring comics, just just from the little gig that I have right now. But I'm making nothing or like almost no progress when it comes to towards um gaining a following on social media. So I'm like, maybe it's not a visual thing. Maybe there's a bunch of lurkers, people like just watching in the shadows, just like, oh, okay, this guy's still making some stuff, but there's nobody like uh physically clicking the follow button or the support button or whatever. So I'm just trying to figure out how can I eventually like translate this into a living from my own work from air writer.
Hmm. Yeah. And I'm always wondering. Um, I forget what the term is, but it's like when you do something so much that like people think it's just a normal thing.
Hmm.
Meaning like, you know, if you're posting every day, like
Yeah.
do people see it as something special anymore? You know what I'm saying? And that's
Right.
like
Right.
I'm
Right.
I'm always kind of concerned about that too with like Instagram. You know, I post a lot more on Instagram.
Hmm.
Um, but like it's like if I begin just posting every day, you know, is it just going to be like a normal thing where people are just like, ah, okay, that's another one, that's another one, and maybe not like or comment or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
so that's something I always thought about, and that's kind of, you know, I try not to worry about it too much anymore.
Yeah.
Like before I was always like, oh, you know, why didn't I get 40 likes on this thing? You know, I only got 15. Like, what the hell, man? Like,
Right.
um, but I've been trying not to let that drive me anymore. But I mean, I do. It's we want some kind of validation, right? And like if
Yeah.
we're like,
Some.
yeah. But have you ever thought about that? Um, like posting too much, maybe do you think that that could be an issue?
I was thinking of it in terms of like it's a consistent thing to the point where it keeps me accountable in posting daily so that people can expect it. And what it sets up is like, okay, I'm posting every day, whether it's like a comment or a drawing or somebody else's art that I'm really into and crediting them, or and in that consistency I can do like different pattern disrupts where, oh, I post a fan art of an upcoming movie or something like that, and people are like, oh wow, this is interesting, this is different from what you usually post. So it's like, even if the presence isn't there, or even if the presence is like people have gotten used to it, there's occasionally something different that breaks up the pattern, grabs more followers, in that way, or like grabs more attention in that way. Um, Basically, I'm using social media at this point right now to garner, like, gain attention, gain followers, but I don't think it'll be a forever thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's good to start my career with and grab a lot of people, grab a lot of attention at first, and then um move away from that as I start getting more and more real life followers and fans of my work. And I think we were discussing like bits of that aspect before the show.
Yeah. I I still don't know how to wrap my head around the whole social media thing.
Yep.
Um, but at for a while there at the beginning, I was putting a lot of stock into it. But now
Yeah.
that I've kind of evolved a bit and I've done more in-person shows, gone to different conventions and whatnot,
Hmm.
um, I've kind of seen connection, marketing, sales, customer interaction in such a different light now. And just, in reference to this past weekend when I was telling you, Comic Palooza, obviously what happened
Right.
before the show and the break in and everything sucked. But the show itself afterwards was pretty damn fantastic. You know, I got eye to eye contact with people interested in my stuff,
Right.
interested in my book, interested in my drawing, got some watercolor commissions, things like that. I even had some people that were like, "Hey, man, I follow you on Instagram. Pleasure to meet you," type of thing.
Right.
Um, which in that regard, the two worlds kind of intersect there in the Venn diagram of things. Um, but there really is a whole nother world in terms of going to conventions and going to like art shows and stuff like that
Right.
because you know when we're sitting behind the computer or behind the phone or whatever and we're posting these things, we're like hoping that it gets that connection with fans. We're hoping that it gets these likes. We're hoping that it gets these shares and whatever.
Right.
But when you're face to face with a person and face to face with people walking by and they see something that catches their eye and they come and they give you direct feedback straight to you, they're like, "Whoa, man, this reminds me of this. This reminds me of that. Dude, you got like this cool like Ryan Otley vibe going on. Like, what's up? Like, that's awesome." And it's like this whole nother world of like, you know, that surmounts all the discouragement and everything that you may feel. Um, and I really do think it's kind of eye opening, and
Right.
I'm excited for you to like whenever you're able to start kind of getting into the show, not show circuit, but being able to do more shows.
Right.
You'll start to kind of see that world. To me, for me is now it's like, man, I wish I could live in that world a lot more. Obviously
Right.
it's hard for us because we're full time. We've got day jobs and everything.
Yeah.
Um, But man, the grass seems so much greener on that side, as opposed to like trying
Nice.
to break through digitally.
Yeah. Because digitally is like you're inundated with so much information, so much like uh so much choice. You're spoiled for choice in terms of like entertainment. So it's like, why would somebody like come and look at what I'm doing over here when they could look at a million other options, like unlimited options? So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
definitely hard to muscle your way into the market in online space.
yeah, and it kind of goes in hand maybe with that thing where it's if you see a whole bunch online, people don't think it's as special just because of the sheer volume. But like if you're walking around a show, you've got a limited artist alley,
Right.
and they see physical work, physical books, physical prints, physical art, they're more likely to connect and be like, "Oh, this is special," you know? "Oh,
Right.
this style appeals to me." It's just hard online because it's this guy's sick. Oh, that guy's cool. Oh, this guy's cool. Everybody's dope. Like, look at my what do you call
Right.
it? the algorithmic field that populates with things that you like. It's
Yeah.
like all you got to do is just go to that page now, and you see thousands of things that you instantly connect to because the algorithm has created it.
Right. And then it's all free to look at. So it's just like, all right, cool. It's there. It's there whenever I want it. And I don't need, there's no pressure to look at it right now or to even like or follow or anything. But with like conventions, it's like you're there and it's just like, man, this is so good. And man, like the book is right here. I could at least get a sticker or something like that. And I don't know.
Yeah,
It feels like there's more pressure to take it more seriously or to treat it more specially when it's sitting right there in front of you.
yeah. I think that certainly has something to it. Um, and it makes you almost wish that you kind of grew up in like the non-social media age,
Yeah.
because like if you went to these shows and displayed your stuff, like that's the only place people can really see you,
Mm-hmm.
or see your work. Um, obviously there's, downfalls of being that limited, but
Right.
yeah, man, it's interesting. It's the I guess having a healthy balance of both sides is probably the way to go.
Right. I mean, there used to be like fan letter columns for different comic books. It's like people could send those in, and then the writer would get those and just like send them back. It would just be all snail mail. And that was, I guess that was before email came out, and
Hmm.
that's just what they would do.
Yeah. Now you just email in questions, and
Or call them a
they
dickhead on Twitter or something.
or that, and then they
Yeah.
screenshot it, put it in the back of their book.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. But what about like because there are some artists out there that um they really don't have a huge like social media following, or if they're even on social media at all,
Right.
but they're still very popular in the comic zeitgeist and
Hmm.
very profitable,
Right.
like a guy like Trad Moore.
Right. Because at the end of the day, this all comes down to making a living in comics, like a sustainable living in comics, and it may seem like social media is the only way to get enough fans or attention to make a living from, but that's just because it's the most obvious way. But then we have guys like Trad Moore or like Travis, I don't know how to say his last name, Charis, Charay, I
Mm,
don't know,
mhm.
but those guys, they're positioning themselves in the market to where they don't have to rely on a social media presence to make their money. And I feel like that's how most of the comic industry is where you can get a lot of I guess back end deals where they'll pay you for the page rate or the pages that you're doing, or you can sell original art and make money that way. And you don't need 100% to go through the social media route to make a living from it. I think
Yeah.
it's a good way to garner attention from like upper echelon like publishers and people who might be interested in your work. But I don't know. I feel like there's another way. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like, a guy like Trad Moore is such an interesting case, man, because and
Mm-hmm.
there's other artists out there like, kind of in his same position in the market, but he's kind of like positioned himself to where he's almost like this artist now,
Right.
and he almost like transcends the medium of comics just in terms of like other like a more fine art or something like that. So like his work
Right.
has just become so valuable, because it's so unique.
Yeah.
um so it's like, is the only way to get there, um is it if you're like this very once in a lifetime or like very few in a lifetime type of artist where um your style and everything just meshes so well, and you're unlike anything else out there. And I fear that sometimes because it's like,
Hmm.
you know how do these guys catch this wave to where they're this like very sought out creator, um
Right. I think about it like, well, who's doing something similar to what I want to be doing in the future or what I want to be doing right now? And how did they get the opportunities that they got? So I'm thinking like, okay, how do I position myself like that person? I can really literally just like retrace their steps, but I mean, I can't do it, exactly. I have to apply it to my own situation and that kind of thing. But I feel like you can learn a lot just by looking at somebody who's doing something similar to what you're doing, like your inspirations and that kind of thing.
yeah, I know that it's commonly said, like, around podcasts and stuff that I always listen to, they're always like, in comics, it's, whenever someone breaks into comics, that way is off the table anymore, or
Yeah.
is off the table now, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if you get in this one way, that door's closed, the next person
Yep.
gets in a totally different way, and then that's risk, and then so on and so on. So I'm always thinking about that. um and I still don't know how to define break into comics. I feel like you and I can, like, we're in comics because, I mean, we're making comics, but you
Yeah.
know, I don't know how to define, quote unquote, break into comics. Um,
I would say I'm in comics now.
yeah, yeah, of
Uh,
course. I mean, yeah, you're making comics. You have a web comic out, so.
well, that is not so much the web comic itself, but I would define it by the professional work that I'm getting right now. The coloring job that I'm doing. If I do a good job on this, and they're telling me I'm doing a good job on it, it would just lead to another coloring gig, to another coloring
Mhm,
gig, and then I come in, I break into comics as a colorist. Not that I intended to, but that's just the way I got in there. And then if I keep up my thing on the side, eventually that will become what I'm known for instead of just being a colorist. So it's
mhm,
like I got this coloring gig through Nick Patera, like my mentor, and that way is now closed off forever, I guess. Like no, there's no one else who's going to be able to come in that exact way that I did through
mhm,
that specific person for that specific reason. Um, so yeah, I believe that there's a lot of truth to that. Like there's always different ways people get into the industry, especially when there's like openings or like once in a lifetime opportunities.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, and then, like, you just gotta, like, find your way in. That's why I'm hoping, like, and I think there has to be some truth to it, because just by, like, doing this show this past weekend, like, I've already got, more commission requests, things that I'll do in the next couple of months because of it. Um,
Right.
and just like, the following has grown. The One of the last shows I did in the past led to a pretty big project that is in the works right now.
Nice.
So I'm just hoping, like, the more, for me, the way that I break in, or whatever, however you want to define it, um, I'm hoping it's going to be through, like, just my sheer commitment to, going to shows, plugging away daily and nightly, and
Right.
just have, somebody checking out my stuff, and one thing leads to the other. And I'm hoping, in Heroes Con here in a couple weeks,
Hmm.
I get closer to the journey.
Right.
um yeah.
I think it's just like a matter of like you're just working, you're working, you're working, you're working, and then one day you look up and you're like, oh, somehow I stumbled into comics. Like I'm here now,
Mhm.
and you almost don't even notice it, but like the work just keeps going. Like it's like you finish with this one thing, but before you know it, you have another thing lined up and another thing lined up, and you're just working steadily, and that becomes your new way of life. Not even just your career. It's like this is how you operate now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's the goal. It's
Yep.
yeah, it's interesting, man. It's interesting the ways to get in and kind of how to position yourself to continue to you know be successful in such
Right.
an awesome medium.
Right. And it's just like I think once you understand enough about the industry itself, like you can start thinking outside the box and looking for different ways to put yourself in different spaces and whatnot. Now, I might end up in animation somehow. Because I've always been interested in it and trying to figure out ways to inject that stuff into my work and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, man. Animation would be awesome.
Yep.
I mean, I know a lot of creators, jump ship from comics just because there's so little money in it,
Right.
and
Right.
they'll go to animation or video games. Um, but hey, even if that happens, you can still like kickstart, a comic or something.
Yeah.
Have both streams coming in.
Yeah. I've always thought of sticking with comics because it was like the cheapest way for me to be able to tell a blockbuster movie or a deep anime or something like that. I can't animate every single frame, and I can't pay other people to help me out with it. So the most I can do is draw pictures on a page and write, and then that way I can get my stories out there to people.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Because for me and for myself, like you know, long ago I was writing like novel type things, and I just realized like how much of a slog it could be at times.
Right.
Like I still eventually want to, because I've started like a bunch of novel, not a bunch, but a good handful of novels that I've got very deep into, 70, 80,000 words that are just sitting on my laptop.
Right.
But it always is, there's always like a slog period where it's just like, man, this is just I'm not having fun with this.
Right.
Um and then comparing that to now me doing my graphic novel, there's no slog at all. Like I'm, you know, every day I'm like, oh, I can't wait to draw this next scene. I can't wait to color this next scene. Even now that I'm like having to go back and rework some pages, I'm still like, fuck it, man. I'm gonna make it better than I did it before.
Right.
Like I'm still excited to do it. So I think that's a testament to like, oh, like I found the shit I'm supposed to be doing. Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
And then it's like if you know what you're supposed to be doing, the followers doesn't even matter. It's like the followers they'll
Mm.
come or the money is gonna come, but you already know that this is what you're gonna be doing. You're not gonna quit just because somebody took your pages or whatever. You're just gonna keep going along.
Yeah, and no, that's right. And like just doing the show this weekend and people coming up and like seeing my prints of my new book
Right.
and like instantly connecting with like the market that is aimed at, like people being like, "Oh man, this is awesome. Like this looks cool. Like, this looks surreal. This looks weird. This looks different."
Nice.
Um yeah, man, that face-to-face interaction is key when doing these very labor intensive projects.
Right.
But yeah, man. I think that might kind of wrap it up for this week. You have anything else on kind of discouragement and the whole followers leading to success, or is it really important? You have anything else to say on the topic?
Well, I'm not feeling as discouraged as before, so I think
There we
we
go.
pretty much covered all of it.
Perfect, man. Sounds good. All right, Ken. Let the people out there know where they can find you. Where can they read your stuff?
Oh, you guys can find me on Global Comics. That's where I post uh Air Rider High School Hero, and I'm working on a website, so hopefully I'll get that up soon. And on social media, you can find me at Comic Ken or on Twitter every day at the Comic Ken.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And you can find me at Nico underscore writes. Primarily on Instagram. I'm also at that same handle on Twitter. You can follow me on my Substack. Got a whole bunch of creative stuff and going to be putting more kind of mini comic stuff up there as well. That's at nicorodriguez.substack.com. Um, I'll be going to Heroes Con in a couple weeks in North Carolina. So if you are out there, let's have a chat. I'll be doing the drink and draw that night, that Friday night of the show. Super excited for that. Looking forward to it. But anyway, thanks so much for joining us again this week. This is what, episode number 9. I think that's right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, hey dude, we're like one away from double digits, man.
Oh yeah. Yep.
We're getting there. We're getting there. That's a milestone. But
Yep.
anyway, thanks so much for watching this episode, and we will see you next time.